Alright, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for BFDI, aka Battle for Dream Island. This is actually the first web series that I'm ever going to be reviewing, and yeah, I'll give a bit of background. I watched this this is the first season of the show. I watched it at least twice by now. This is, I think, at least my third time watching BFDI, and I never finished BFDIA, and I didn't watch any of the other series, so I rewatched BFDI today, and BFDIA is going to be the next one that I review, and it is going to be I guess I'll just speak about that a bit more when we get to that. But yeah, this is a series that I've seen before. I don't even know how I ended up seeing it. It's a web series. It's on YouTube. I guess as a kid, I just happened to stumble upon it on YouTube, and then it was like a series I think I would come back to every few years to rewatch. And so yeah, this is a rewatch, and let us just begin, starting off with the plot. So this is a pretty interesting series. I guess it's a web series where basically the whole concept is that it's a kind of a game show, kind of in a similar vein to something like, I don't know, I don't really watch reality shows, but it's definitely it's got a reality show kind of feel to it. It's got something similar to, I would say, probably Total Drama Island, I would say, where basically there are 20 contestants in total, and they are all battling for Dream Island, which is this island that everyone just wants to get because apparently, I don't know, 5-star hotels, it's their dream island, basically. So everyone is battling for it, and the whole gimmick, I guess, is that it's not actual people. It is just objects that are battling. So you have each character is basically named after just what they are. So pencil, match, fiery, coiny, leafy, snowball, tennis ball, golf ball, those kind of. That's basically all the characters. And the plot is, yeah, it's like I said, basically where every episode it is just a different challenge. It's pretty random usually. So one time they'll solve a jigsaw puzzle, another time they'll have to escape a volcano, another time they'll just be crossing a bridge, climbing a ladder, or making tacos or something like that. Just this show is it definitely is one of the most random shows I've seen. I think JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is definitely more bizarre, I would say, but it still kind of feels like it follows a consistent, when you're watching JoJo, it still feels like the plot, it feels consistent, logically it makes sense that this would be the next thing that happens, kind of, even if it's very bizarre, the stuff that ends up happening during the adventure. Where this show, it just feels completely random, and just stuff can change in a matter of seconds. So yeah, in terms of the plot, I'm going to give the plot, I would say, probably a 4 to 5. I would say I liked it. Just every episode, once again, is just basically a battle of, it's a reality show, but basically with objects they battle each other in whatever competition they're in, and then technically at the start of each episode, there is the way that the series kind of works is that the viewers, the commenters, end up commenting, and I don't really know how they would keep track back in the day of all the comments, I guess, but they would add up all the comments, and then the viewers would basically get to choose who ends up getting eliminated each episode, and then at the end of each episode, whatever team ends up losing, or at some point whoever doesn't have immunity in the later episodes basically would be up for elimination, and the viewers would end up voting on who would get eliminated. So yeah, so once again, I would give the plot a 4 to 5. I would say I liked it. It's definitely these kind of game show. I'm not really a reality TV show kind of person, but I can still acknowledge that this kind of plot of a bunch of contestants battling for this one thing, and a character gets eliminated each episode, it is a good concept. I would say just it's a concept that is just entertaining at its core, I would say. So I would give it or at the very least I find it entertaining at its core, so I would give it a 4 to 5. Yeah, the plot. So yeah, moving on from the plot, we're talking about the plot for we're not, it's only been we're not even 4 minutes in, but I feel like I said 4 to 5 for the plot already a few times. So anyway, moving on to the characters. The characters are, once again, each character is basically just an object, and the characters are named after whatever object they are. So Woody, piece of wood; Spongy, a sponge; who else have I not mentioned yet? Teardrop, a teardrop. Just all these characters that are basically just objects, and they are named after whatever object they are. And there is the announcer box. The announcer box is basically the one that is running the whole show. Basically, he's the one that initially says, hey, you want to, there's this island that you can go to that, it'll be your dream islands. Basically, do you want to go somewhere without any annoying people or whatever? It's a place that you get to decide, whoever comes, a place that you can have all the just luxury that you can ever imagine, basically. So he's the one that is that runs the whole competition, the one that basically comes out, gives them the challenges. He does the cake and steak and everything, which is the elimination process at the start of each episode. And so overall, the characters, I would give probably I'll go a 6 to a 6.5. I'm thinking between above average and good, and I'm just going to be harsh. I'm just going to call it a 6 out of 10, I would say, above average characters, because they're not really too, most characters in the show, it's they just kind of have their baseline personality of, you have, I don't know, Eraser, he's like the one that he like tries to be too cool or something. You have Woody, who's like afraid of everything. Rocky, he just like vomits constantly. Bubble is, I guess, kind of meek. Ice Cube always wants revenge. Leafy's the one that's like overly nice and stuff, but like in a kind of in a very stuck up kind of way. Match and Pencil, like the School Valley kind of girls, I would say, like the ones that are like always gossiping, like saying OMG and stuff, and that kind of speech. Snowball, the jock, I would say. Who else is there? Fiery, Coiny, they kind of fight each other constantly. So just all these, like a wide cast of characters. I think they're above average, I would say, but they are very much just kind of like their baseline personality, and there's no real. There's not. I mean, you could say that there's like some character growth, to be honest, but even any character growth that there is, it doesn't feel like it even lasts into the. I know, like in BFDIA, like it feels like the character growth doesn't necessarily transfer over. So anyway, in terms of the settings, it all takes place in this very like. I don't know how to describe it, but like this open kind of field area is where all these competitions end up taking place. And I would say it's pretty simple, but I would say it's effective, a nice setting. I would say I'll give it like a 6.5. I'll say it's a good setting. It's very, very basic, very just kind of like, again, open field of that these characters are at. I really just don't really have anything to say about it. It works. It's a very nice, like it's a nice open setting. It's not like overcrowded or anything. So I guess it works effectively. So I'm going to give it a 6.5. In terms of the visuals, this web series, it is definitely, when you think of, I feel like nowadays especially, web series or like indie series in general on YouTube, they've kind of gained a reputation for being like this alternative form of media where it's like there is the basic kind of animation and stuff that you will get from the big studios, but then if you want something like really unique and stuff, really just like really impressive animation, you go to like web series. Like for example, Glitch has been a pioneer of this with their series Murder Drones, Amazing Digital Circus. I actually haven't, Gaslight District, that's another one. I actually haven't, up until this point, seen Knights of Guinevere or the newest one, Game of Verse, but definitely Glitch is pioneering that kind of indie animation and stuff. There's more examples. Ramshackle, I'll get into, like, this is the first web series I'm reviewing, but I do plan to, in the future, review some more web series. I was like I said, I'm calling it web series, but it's technically like indie animation kind of YouTube series. So anyway, in terms of this one, this is a 2D one, and it's got like a very simplistic, basic art style, and I do think that it's pretty good, I would say. Like, I would give it probably the art style, I'd give like I'd say like pretty good, so a 7 out of 10, I would say, for the art style. It does look very basic, but I think it works pretty well for what it is. I would say, again, it is definitely the opposite of something like the Amazing Digital Circus or like other indie animation kind of studios where it does look very detailed and stuff. This is like they're going the exact opposite way, where it's like very plain, very basic, like not really any details at all with the characters, but I would say that it works pretty well, I would say. So I'm going to give the visuals a 7 out of 10. Also, like the character animations, it's all like kind of, it's not like very fluid animation. It's kind of like not choppy, I would say, but very much kind of like stick movement animations for the characters. Not like very fluid animation, just kind of like frames of characters like moving here and there, but I think that it works pretty well, I would say. So just overall, the visuals, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. In terms of the worst thing, I would say the worst thing is probably just, it's a bit repetitive in not necessarily the episodes themselves. I would say, like, I recently just finished reviewing Phineas and Ferb, which felt like a very repetitive show with just how formulaic it was, where every single episode, just the same thing would happen. And I would say, at the very least, this show, it's like every episode, it's like a contestant does get eliminated, so it does feel like there's actual like progress being made and stuff, and the competitions are different, so that is a good aspect of it. But I will say the Cake and Steak, it's good and it's fine, and there's some good moments here and there with it, but it does feel pretty repetitive. I don't like hate it or anything, but I will give it probably a 5 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's also not really that good, I would say, because it does just get kind of repetitive. It ends up taking like every episode, it's like, I think on average about 8 minutes, something like that, maybe 9 minutes. Like, I don't think it ever gets to like in a few cases it gets above 10 minutes, I would say, but most episodes are like 8 minutes, and I'm pretty sure like a decent, like the first 3 minutes, sometimes even 4 minutes, I think is devoted to the Cake and Steak segments, which just do end up feel like, okay, it's like it feels like at this point the Cake and Steak is like half the show, to be honest, and so it does feel like it just gets a bit repetitive and it goes on a bit long, I would say. So yeah, that's probably my least favorite part of the series. I say series, this is like the first season, and there is like sequel series after this. But anyway, in terms of the best thing, I would say the best thing is probably either the plot or the visuals. I would say the plot I gave a 4 to 5, the visuals I gave a 7 out of 10, and I'll give it to the plot, I guess. I guess the plot I'll reuse the best score, which was the plot, so I will go another 4 out of 5 for the plot, because yeah, again, this is a pretty interesting plot of just like a bunch of object characters battling in competitions in order to in order to win a Dream Island. By the way, I don't know why I said by the way. I was like thinking of like something else I want to say soon, but I got crossed with what I was currently saying. So anyway, so that is all the scores. But before I do, this isn't really an extra note, but it is something I want to talk about, which is the ending. The ending, I don't really think it's that great. I don't think I would. It's not like my least favorite thing. Like I don't hate it or anything, but I definitely think that the ending is basically where Fiery. So spoiler by the way, Fiery ends up winning Dream Island, but then he lets like everyone in except for Leafy, and Leafy he doesn't let in because Leafy like didn't want to go on his Ferris wheel that ends with a lava fall, and so Fiery just like for some reason he doesn't let Leafy in, where like it's like annoying because like Leafy is justified in that instance, but Leafy himself is like a character that is overly nice to people, but then it's like he uses that as leverage like to people. Like it's like he ends up like being nice to Bubble, but then from there Bubble, it's like he ends up like scolding Bubble for Bubble not being like as nice to him. And so Bubble does end up trying to be more nice to Leafy, but then it results in like Leafy's like, oh yeah, it's like you're doing nice things. You've given me immunity for 2 battles in a row, but it's like there's still like 70 something levels of niceness below me and stuff. So it's like Leafy as a character, he doesn't feel great. Like he's not really a good character morally, even if he like acts like the nicest character and stuff. But so it does feel like, okay, Leafy shouldn't be on the island, but the reason that they go with it's not really the best reason. So and then the ending is basically Leafy buys the island, everyone is like upset with him, so they try to crush him, and then Fire just ends up saving him, and then that's where the series ends. Like, until season 2, where, spoiler by the way, I already know BFDI, it starts with everyone chasing Leafy, so I guess the events of the previous season, like the final of BFDI, just gets erased by that. So anyway, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it takes place, like they don't mention at all, like the ending of BFDI. It's like it just starts with everyone chasing Leafy, I guess, because they are upset that he stole Dream Island from them. So anyway, that's just something I wanted to rant about for a bit. But yeah, I wouldn't say, like, it was a fine ending. Even the ending itself, I would just give like a 5 out of 10 as well. So you could say the worst thing was either, I guess, the cake and steak bits that go on a little bit too long, or you could say the ending itself, which I didn't hate it. Like I didn't really care for it that much, I would say. So a 5 out of 10 seems like a good score. So yeah, that is all of the scores. So I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to exactly a 6.75, which would be between a 6.5 and a 7, which would be between good and pretty good. And I think I'm going to be a bit harsh with it. I'm probably just going to give it a 6.5. I would say it's good. It definitely is not, like, in terms of like indie animation, I would say it's on the lower end. To be fair, it did come out in, like, I think at this point like 16 years ago, back in 2010, I think it had started airing. Like I was like really young when I watched this. So yeah, it's definitely like it's obviously not going to reach like the same levels as current indie YouTube animation. It's definitely not like a Glitch Productions level kind of series, but for something for 2010s, I would say that this was actually pretty good, I would say. But I'm going to give it probably just a 6.5, I would say. Good. And yes, so that is pretty much all there is to it. By the way, actually, I will, before we end this off, I will give a big thanks because we did hit 94 subscribers, so a new subscriber record. So once again, big thank you to all of the subscribers, viewers, commenters, recommenders, anyone that is interacting with the channel in any way, shape, or form. I greatly do appreciate it. So yeah, once again, big thanks for 94 subscribers. And yeah, with that said, that is... Wait, sorry. Outro. If you have any recommendations... Missing my words here. If you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I'll maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.